Alright, to start this look off, I'm taking the CC Colored Clay Primer by Tarte Cosmetics, and I'm applying that all over my lids. And I like how it's in a stick form. It's kind of creamy, so it does blend in pretty easily. And I'm just blending it in with my finger and nice and evenly before going in with some eyeshadow. I'm taking the Sonia Kashuk palette, and the first shade that I'm going to pick up is this light sort of ivory. It's like a skin tone color, and I'm going to set my primer just because this sort of has a creamy feel, and I want to make sure that my eyeshadow doesn't catch to any specific spots. So I'm using that shadow with a Sigma E25, and then I'm going to go in with another kind of ivory shade that's a little bit brighter, and this is going to be my brow bone highlight, and again using the same Sigma brush. Next, I'm going to define the crease with this light color, and it's like a light medium tan, and I'm using a Morphe. I think it's the MB23. And all of these shades that I'm using are matte. That whole palette from Sonia Kashuk, which is great by the way, is all matte. So I'm just defining my crease, and I chose to do not something super heavy, but not too light. I wanted it to be visible and noticeable, that tan, but not over the top where it takes away from the pretty blue color that we'll be using here in a little bit. But just a little bit of a defining here, just so that we don't neglect our crease area. And then with a clean crease brush, I'm going to just sort of buff out any harsh lines and move on to the next step. Then going back in with that first shade and mixing it with the brow bone highlight, I'm just going to clean around my edges to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Then I decided to add just a touch more of that light tan, so I'm going to concentrate more of that color on the outer V of the eye, and then just sort of like blending it into the crease. For this next step, I'm taking the Milani Shadow Eyes in Almond Cream with a small detail brush from Sigma, and I'm going to be applying it first with the brush into the inner corner, and then I'm going to go in with my fingers to blend this out. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like this is going to make that blue shadow stand out even more, even though it's pretty pigmented on its own, so it just depends on if you want it more intense or not. And the blue color that I'm using is called Moon's Reflection, and this is by MAC. It's a pretty blue with like an icy shimmer to it. So pretty, and you see how potent and pigmented it looks over that base. And I'm using a really small detail brush by Zoeva. Just anything really small to really keep that color really precise and right in that inner corner. You can use a pencil brush, any brand. I like the MAC 219, that's a good one. Just to keep it in there, or you can use your fingers as well, just like I did with the primer, that cream color from Milani. I could have used my fingers to apply the eyeshadow. So just feel free to do whatever you want. You don't have to have a brush for this step. And then we're moving on to the face. We'll be back to the eyes in a little bit. Starting off with foundation, I'm using the Naked Skin foundation from Urban Decay, and I like to dot that all over my face. And yes, I have a really bad cystic acne breakout, which I'm not happy about. I mean, who wants that on their face? But anyways, I'm using the shade 3.25, and I like to dot it on first, then going in, as you can see here, with the Beauty Blender. This is a damp Beauty Blender, and I feel like this is probably the best way to apply foundation. It gives it such a pretty look. It absorbs any extra product if you apply too much, and it just blends it into the skin to make it look like skin, which is the whole point of makeup. It's better to make it look more natural than to have full-on pancake face where it looks super heavy and just too thick. Then for under the eyes, I'm taking this peach color corrector in the Bright Future, I think that's what it's called, by the Sephora brand. Just applying a little bit of this, and it is kind of like on peachy but slightly kind of orangey, and I'm using the very tip of the Beauty Blender to blend that in first. And this Beauty Blender is still slightly damp, which works really great for concealer. I've also used it dry for concealer under the eye. So either way, it's whatever you prefer. Then I'm using the Naked Skin Weightless Concealer in the shade Light Medium Neutral. I'm applying just a little bit of that in that, basically in the inner pocket area where most of the darkness happens, and I do have some redness on the outer part, so that's why I applied it there. And then I'm using this light, kind of whitish cream color from the Pro Sculpting palette from Makeup Forever, just to bring a little bit of lightness and brightness to that inner corner there. So again, just blending it all in with that Beauty Blender. This is like one of the best tools to use, and I highly recommend that you get one if you haven't tried one yet. So now I'm going to be moving on to concealing some spots. I'm taking the same concealer that I used for the under eye with the tip of the Beauty Blender and just kind of bouncing it back and forth, up and down like that, where I need it. Instead of putting on a very heavy full coverage foundation, I went with something a little lighter and then just sort of spot conceal where I needed it. And I did go and get over the weekend a concealer from Tarte that's more full coverage to cover this really nasty pimple that I've got, which works better than the Naked Skin concealer. Then to set everything, I like to use the Bye Bye Pores translucent setting powder by IT Cosmetics. Take a little bit under the eye, setting around the forehead, and right where I have larger pores. That's typically where I get my oiliness. Alright, and then I'm going to take this eyeshadow called Creme Brulee, I think, or Brulee, something like that. And this one called Rice Paper. One is matte that matches my skin. One is kind of like a goldeny yellow shimmer. And I'm mixing both of them together so it gives like a light sort of satiny sheen. And I'm applying this to the lower lid area that doesn't have any eyeshadow. And then just sort of blending it into the blue. Just because I didn't want to leave the outer part of my lid bare. So I just added a little something there. And then I'm going back in with this tan shade from the Sonia Kashuk palette with the MAC 219 brush. And I'm going to smudge a little bit of this on my lower lash line. I love pencil brushes for this step. And girl, you need to close your mouth. Do you see this? Oh my gosh. And then I'm going in with a little bit more of the darker tan shade and applying it just over that light tan. Again, just to kind of create some depth. And then to finish off the eyes, I'm going to tight line with the Modster eyeliner by Ardency, and it's just a classic black. So applying this, I like this liner for tight lining. It's nice and rich and black and very creamy. And then for my liquid liner, I'm using the Tarte So Fine liquid liner. This is part of the Rainforest of the Sea collection that recently came out. And I am showing you my mirror that I like to have just slightly tilted so that I'm looking down into the mirror. And I find that that helps so much when applying liquid liner or just liner in general, because you can expose more of your lid space to actually make sure that you're applying the liner exactly where you want it. So it's just an easy, quick tip. Mascara, I'm mixing two. I'm starting off with the Smashbox Full Exposure, which honestly is not my favorite. I'm just trying to use this up. As you can see, that brush is super massive. And then I go over it with the Perversion Mascara by Urban Decay. And the two of them together, I have to say, it's not a bad look. I mean, I can see a huge difference here. Is the before and after. Big difference with mascara. Now, to finish the face, I'm going to use this contouring palette by Tarte. Taking the lightest contour shade with the Makeup Geek angled stippling brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of contouring just lightly. I don't go crazy with this just because personally that's not what I like, but a little bit of something there makes a really big difference. So I'm just applying that and blending it out with the same brush and taking it up by my hairline and up through the temples as well. And then, of course, a little bit down that jawline just to kind of make the face much more pronounced. And then I'm going to take the other dark shade with a Real Techniques multi-task brush, and I'm going to use this as my bronzer. I don't think this product is specifically categorized as a bronzer in this palette, but I'm using it. And by the way, it smells like freaking chocolate. Like, seriously, I could eat this. Then taking the light ivory shade, this is matte, and I'm going to just sort of brighten under the eye. Honestly, it doesn't really do much. Just putting that out there. No, I have to be honest with you guys. I don't really see a lot happening. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I don't see anything really going on with this palette here. And then I'm taking this light shimmery color. It's like a pearl, very white, and I applied a little bit of that with the Morphe. I think this is the M501 brush, and it gave me just a soft, subtle glow. So if that's what you're into, you might like this. And of course, you have to be a little bit on the lighter side to be able to use this palette, because this is not going to be something that's great for really dark skin. And then I'm using the blush in this palette with my Sephora number 54 brush. Love this brush. And of course, you know me, the glow wasn't enough, so I brought in this other Skin Twinkle palette from Tarte. It's part of the Rainforest of the Sea. Again, I'm just using the same brush and applying that pretty heavily because I like the glow. I'm just saying, the other Tarte palette was a no-go, so this is much, much better. And then again, just highlighting in my typical spots. And just because I layered two different highlighting products doesn't mean that you have to do that. If it seems like it's too many products, you know, just apply whatever you want for highlight or skip it all together. Find your own way to recreate this look if you'd like. And then I'm using the MAC Myth lipstick. I've had this forever in my collection and I have not used it in a really long time. So I sanitized it and thought, let's slap this bad boy on. And I did. So this is what it looks like. It's a little bit too nude for my preference. I think I needed a little bit more. So I went in with this gloss by NYX. It's in the shade Maple Blondie. It's part of the Butter Gloss line. Love this color for spring and summer. And here is the completed look. I really had fun filming this video for you guys, and this is just a simple, easy way to add just a little bit of something in the inner corner to just feel like spring, and you can definitely do whatever color you want. I loved it. I thought it was very sweet to have a look like this. It's not over the top. It's so easy. I hope you guys liked it. I will have everything listed down below for you. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for being here with me today. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.